Hey guys, it has been a while, and there's reasons for that. Good reasons, I promise. Um, and I'm gonna get to probably as much as I can in this vlog before I disappear again. I don't know for how long I'm gonna disappear again, but I'm trying to not make it as long as it was last time. But let's start with the big elephant in the room. Yes, I dedicated my big 5 year project to Mania. I did that, and that probably surprised some people. It probably didn't surprise some people. Um, the reason it would have surprised some people is because people are aware that we haven't been on the best of terms since we started fighting, and that's something I've wanted to address for quite a while. Cause my perspective on it has changed a lot. Not because I was in the wrong completely. I was in the wrong in a lot of things. We both were. There were no right sides to that fight. I'm not gonna lie. We both did some pretty shady crap, and we both did some really nasty things to each other. Um, but my perspective on it has changed a lot because I was friends with her for a very long time. We were close for a long time. Um and personally, I part of me feels responsible for us drifting apart in our friendship because Mania is not good at the whole closeness thing. She really isn't. She very much likes to stay withdrawn and is a very reserved individual. And that's totally understandable. I can respect that because I was very reserved for many years. Especially when I started YouTube, I was very reserved on who I would and would not open up to and talk to for a long time because I was not social. I was not. And as the years went on and I learned some more things and I grew as a person, I opened up. And I feel like she hasn't done that. And I'm not going to go into too many details because I have a lot of information of what her home life is like, mainly because I've been there. Yeah, a couple years ago, that was the big thing. Is I went to go visit her. We met face to face and we hung out, and it was a big thing for us because being that close, we were. I don't know. It's really the the way I've thought about it now is I'm not thinking about what has happened anymore. I'm more thinking about what could have happened if it never happened. Like, what if I had swallowed my pride and just stepped out and we'd stayed being friends? What would my second visit to seeing her face to face would be like? What would what would our friendship be now if things hadn't gotten as bad as we had allowed them to? And it's really messed with me the past couple of days, especially the last couple of days. But it's been messing with me for the past couple of weeks, is what I was trying to say. Um, I've been doing this for 5 years. You'd think I'd be good at the talking thing by now. I'm not. I'm really not. I will be the first to admit I am not the easiest person to talk to and get along with. There are many reasons for that. Most of them are my fault. And everything else being communication issue. Because the one thing I absolutely despise in any friendship that I have ever is a lack of communication. And that's kind of been a big problem recently with a lot of my friends, and it's really starting to get to me. Um, because of a lack of communication, to me, displays a lack of trust. That's what that shows me, is you won't communicate with me because you don't trust me with what you want to tell me. And that's normally how I take that. That's how I've taken it for the past years. It's very clear to me that if someone doesn't want to tell you something, it's either because they don't trust you or it's too personal. But I have to remind people, close friendships, if it's personal, those are the things you have to talk about with your close friends. Just throwing that out there for people with close friends who refuse to tell them personal things. Those are the people you should talk to. Like, I talk to my close, like Nick, I talk to Nick all the time. Like, whenever we go to the bar every week, we don't just go there to drink, we go there to talk. Like, if he has an issue, he'll talk to me about it. If I have an issue, I'll talk to him about it. And of course, we joke around, have fun, dick around, and have a few drinks. But there's communication. He talks to me, and it's why we've been friends for so many years. I've known Nick going on 4 years now, and it's fascinating to see how our relationship, our friendship, has grown since then. Like, at first, it was a wayward reference that he made that I recognized and bounced off of. So that instantly hit us off as friends in the workplace. But then I started to get to know him over the next couple of years. And of course, then the shutdown happened, and then we couldn't hang out. Like, we talked about hanging out for years before we ever actually started doing it. It wasn't until we were, like, really close, like, super tight, close friends, that we started hanging out a lot. He'll pick me up, we'll go to the bar, we'll hang out. Or, as he likes to put it, he'll abduct me, and we'll go to the bar and hang out. Um, and it's always fun. But the point I'm trying to make is there's communication there. And the fun thing about being close friends like that, he and I don't have to talk for over a week, and we're still that close. Like, we're close friends. And it's interesting to see how much closer we've become over the years. Because, like, I'll talk to him about stuff I would talk to nobody else. He's almost like he's almost like the older brother I've never had. Like, we'll talk about our sex lives, we'll talk about our relationships, we'll talk about problems at work, we'll talk shop about tons of stuff. And then we'll start talking shit about each other. Like, it's great. That's what I would call an ideal friendship. Is we're really close, we know how to talk shit about each other, but we're also not afraid to tell each other how we feel about certain things. And the icing on the cake is Nick is going to be a politician in a year. And he's kind of redefined the term politician for me, because it's made me realize that there's a lot of things that politicians don't talk about. And they try to pretend to be regular guys. But they aren't. They own mansions, they own 6 cars. They have 7 wives. Like, it's ridiculous, and gone through 6 divorces. It's ridiculous what the political market looks like. And these guys who try to run for office look like normal, average, everyday Joes, but they're not. And I think that's why Nick is going to get elected, because he is an average, everyday guy who knows a thing or two. Of course, he has a morbid sense of humor, so they should probably watch out for that. But no, Nick is great. I think he has a lot to offer for the state and for what he can do for it. I think he has a lot to offer, and I'm real proud of him for taking that step, because he worked really hard for it. But that's what I mean. That is what I would consider an ideal friendship. Uh, I don't know. Like, it's really interesting to think about. You'll have to excuse me. It's been a really long day. Says the guy awake at 1:45 in the morning. But I've been having a tough time, not just because I've been thinking about this, but because I've been sick the last month. Not feeling well for a whole week. I felt fine for a whole week, but then I got sick again. I blame my brother. My brother had it first. It's not COVID. It's not anything serious. It's probably just a passing cold because the season's changing. It is fast approaching fall season. At the end of October, I'd like to point out, it's the end of fucking October, and it's finally starting to feel like fall. Even though it's raining outside, or at least that's what my weather thing is telling me right now. Is it raining outside? Well, I'll be damned, it is. But I feel the other side of the whole mania issue was, I'm going to be the first to admit it right here, I was a tiny bit starstruck for a while. Being a part of such a big project like that was my dream. It was my dream to be able to do something like that. And I feel like I was caught up in the adventure a little bit. Well, not a little bit. I feel like I was caught up in the adventure very much. And it made me forget the responsibilities Mania had. I'm trying so hard not to use her real name, because I had that privilege at one time. I had that privilege to talk to her by her first name. But I don't have that privilege anymore. But I forget the privilege, the responsibilities Mania had, and the responsibilities she still has. But that doesn't that doesn't overlook the biggest problem that I feel she has. And it's not a criticism, it's not a negative thing, it's not a bad thing for me to say this. I feel like she has a problem sticking to singular projects. When she's working on more than one project, she's great. She's fine. It's when she's focused on a singular linear project that she starts to kind of lose it a little bit. And I should put in perspective for people, Mania worked on Mystic Hills for almost 3 years in a row. Almost non-stop. Almost non-stop. I was there. In the beginning, I told her to take a break. I told her to stop, take a breather, figure out what you want to do next and what other projects you want to do. But as things went on, I naively pushed her to continue to focusing on Mystic Hills because I was caught up in the adventure. I was caught up in playing Adrian and having this story be told. And it cost. It had a big cost, not only on her mental state, but also my mental state, and we both deteriorated very quickly. Us drifting apart was not slow at all. It was very sudden. And it wasn't until after it had happened for a while that I noticed it. And I kind of snapped to my senses a little bit. And stopped trying to be her manager and tried to be her friend. And we got a little closer again. But it really, really, really took a toll on us after production of Season 3 started. That is probably when things took a turn for the worse. And as you all know, halfway through Season 3, I got booted. It was a unanimous decision to... At that point, it was unanimous to get rid of me. But at the same time, I didn't feel welcome there. I didn't feel safe in that project anymore. So instead of talking things out, I left. Like, I left the servers that they had started. Like, I was originally going to be in Yandere, but it wasn't until after I saw the way they were doing things that I realized that I could not do it. I was like, no, I can't do this. Not only because of how unstructured and how little they would get done in their sessions, but also because I am not very good at on-the-spot acting yet. I have a lot to learn. But back then, I was terrible at it. I was awful at it. And I was originally going to pull out. The part of the story, because the story was, we were all getting together for a second session of Yandere. It was the big, I think it was the big snow episode. And I was uploading. I was in the middle of uploading. I had just woken up. That was back when my sleep schedule was tied to my work schedule. So I had just woken up. I told them this. Of course, Ish was the first to be combative about it. Was, well, you should have woke up earlier. And my initial response was going to be, well, I'm sorry that I have to work like a productive person. But held my tongue. I said nothing. So I was in the middle of uploading. And for those of you who upload videos on YouTube, the new way is much better, but the old way they used to do it, it was back before the YouTube studio was a thing. Actually, I think YouTube Studio was still in. It was before it became replaced. It was before it replaced the old stuff. But it was just one big one big screen, and it had a big upload button, and you click it, and it would tell you, and you would put in all your details, title, description, blah 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 blah, playlist, done. Set it to public, publish. So, the thing about it was it was not very accurate in telling you when your video was uploaded. So I had, and I still have, I had very bad internet issues back then. Not as much now. I still have problems now, but not as much now. And my video got stuck on 70% uploading. And it was stuck there. I was in a call with them when that happened. It was stuck on 70%. And every time I would check it, 70%. 70%. So I thought it was just being slow. Because sometimes it is. Sometimes it takes a few minutes to catch up. So, 20 minutes later, we're not only still waiting on a bunch of other people to show up, but Ish is getting very impatient with me, specifically, because I'm uploading. And she wanted me to get in the world, the Minecraft world that they'd made. And I said, I can't. My video is still uploading. So she was getting very short-tempered, and we started fighting. And then Mania said, I'm not dealing with this, and she left. That made me angry, because in my experience, when someone says that they're not dealing with this, it's either because it either means two things. This is a waste of my time, or I personally can't deal with you two fighting right now. And I took it as option one, because that's normally what it is. I assumed, and I was an asshole for it. I just spilled my drink on me. Not on my desk. God damn it. Whatever. But, and Archie came up to me. Oh, God. This was back when he was still Grayson. But Archie came up to me and he was like, hey, dude, your video's been up for like 10 minutes. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Ish and I collectively are like, are you fucking kidding me? But then Ish decides to take it a step further and blame me, even though I was not aware of it. Because my plan was to try one more time at the whole Yandere thing. And then if I felt like it wasn't good enough to be in the show, I was going to pull out. I was going to say, nah, cut me from it. Which would have been easy, because it's an improv thing. It's not a scripted thing. It's nothing. But that was my plan. I was going to give it one more shot, and then that would be it. Chaos ensues. Mania comes back. We're still fighting. Ish fills her in with, his video has been uploaded for the past 10 minutes. And didn't even give me a chance to explain. Didn't give me a chance to say anything. Nothing. Nothing. So Mania understandably goes, well, what the hell? And of course, I get defensive. I didn't know. I was just told this. And she counters with, well, you're looking at it, aren't you? And I'm like, yeah, on my screen right now, it still says it's stuck at 70%. More chaos ensues. Other people who are in the call are getting uncomfortable because we're actually fighting. And it escalates to the point where I say, you know what? It's not worth it anymore. I'm done. So I left that server because the whole Yandere thing had its own server. And I said, nope, I'm done. And I basically said to Mania, here's the rest of my lines for season 3. I'm done. Don't ask me to work for you anymore. And that was it. Now, the real thing that I feel sparked off this whole feud was her decision of what to do with those lines. And to this day, it still pisses me off. It still makes me angry. She didn't use them. She didn't think about using them. She didn't consult me about if someone else would play Adrian since I wasn't in the server anymore. Even though I made it very clear, use these lines. These are the lines I've done already. They're done. I spent the 6 hours working on them. But she didn't do any of that. She threw them out. And basically told Archie, hey, you're Adrian now. Now, I don't blame Archie for any of that. I don't think his performance was bad. I think the episode itself was bad because she was trying to cram in 9-10 episodes worth of content in one video. That is why I have such a negative feeling towards the season 3 finale. One, because the story wasn't told as we had intended. And two, was because she rushed it. And the pacing suffered for it a lot. And the epilogue wasn't what was originally discussed. It was at that point that I decided to follow through on what I was planning to do from the beginning. And it was something I had talked to her about. I was going to write Mystic Hill's origins. I decided to do it. I said I was going to do it, and then I did it. I'm still doing it. 2 years later. Almost 2 years later. It's a year and a half or so. In April, it'll be 2 years I've been writing it. And my original plan was just to write it. That was it. That was the original plan. But then things escalated. So I decided, why not dig the dagger in a little further? What else can I lose? So I announced the animation project. Which, looking back, was a mistake. Mostly. I would say it was mostly a mistake. It would have been a very, very fun project to work on and voice in, personally. But things took a turn for the worse as I started casting and getting crew members. It's very difficult for me to talk about this because a lot of people have a lot of strong opinions about what happened and how they feel about certain people. And a friend of mine not that long ago said that we couldn't be friends over it anymore. because we disagreed so strongly about this person. And I don't blame her. I really don't. But I would also like to point out that a lot of the things Marcus has done is irredeemable. To me, for me, the things he's done to me, that's what I... Let me rephrase. Let me start over. The things that Marcus has done personally to me are irredeemable. There is nothing he can or will do that I will ever forgive him for it. Not a chance in hell. Because, and thank God I don't get monetization because I'm about to show this on camera for the first time. Because a lot of what he did helped fuel what came next, which was a round 2 of the whole me and Mania dispute. Because at the end of the day, as many people who try to step their foot into this situation, I feel very strongly that the only 2 people who can actually fix it are me and her. Mania and I. Those are the only 2 people who can fix this. If one of us doesn't want to communicate, then the other has no choice but to concede. Mania didn't want to communicate. I have the DMs to prove it. And I'm hesitating to even show this because despite how I felt about Mania, I have 4 years worth of DMs from her. And I still have them. I still look at them. I still go back and look at the people that we used to be. I remember when we were just 2 people. That was what it was. We were 2 people. It had nothing to do with our projects. It had nothing to do with what we wanted to achieve. It was the connection that we had together as people. And I feel like, partly I feel like I lost touch with that for a while, but I feel like she has very much lost touch with that. She's not viewed as a person on the internet. She's viewed as this icon now because she has such a fan base. And some people understand and some people don't understand my views on people who allow their fan base to treat them with such renown. My biggest issue with it is that they stop treating you like a person. They start treating you as a piece of media. Like you don't matter unless you're actually entertaining your community. You can't talk with them. You can't discuss it with them. You can't do anything with them because they'll only ever see what you've achieved behind your name. And it's partially why I am grateful I am still a small channel. But I feel like she's gotten taken away by the magnitude of her fame. It very much has gone away with her. So I'm going to show this. Give me just a second. I got to pull it up. I highlighted this DM in particular because it very much shows the kind of communication that she wanted to have with me. That was back in March. And I've had no communication with her since. Mostly because she unfriended me. Some of you say I should have pushed harder. Some of you said that I shouldn't have tried at all. I say you're all wrong. I should have tried. And I shouldn't have pushed harder. I gave her the opportunity. But you want to know the funny thing? I still want to give her this opportunity. I still want her to talk to me. I still want her to tell me what she thinks is wrong. I still want her opinion on the situation. Despite this. Because I think it's very important to address it. We will never get over this if we don't address it. I will never get over it if we don't address it. And for those of you who know Mania or talk to her and say that she doesn't care anymore, you're wrong. Because you don't know her. And just because you've talked to her doesn't mean you know her. I knew her. She is very much not a confrontational person. And I am very difficult to talk to for her because I have such an aggressive stance on things. But I think the thing that people miss is that just because you have an aggressive stance on something doesn't mean that's the entire way I feel about it. I have a lot of negative things to say about Mania as a person. And I want to stress a lot. But, and this is a big one, I have more things to say about her that are positive, that truly show what her character is as a person. Not as an icon, as a person. Because that is something that people didn't understand with my friendship with Mania, is she was never Mania to me. She was never Lady Mania to me. She was always Aurora to me. She was my friend. I hurt her. She hurt me. And here we are. Now, there's more I said in this DM that I'm showing. But most of it is from me assuming. Because I'm an asshole. I immediately took this as an assumption that she ultimately didn't care anymore whether or not we would ever be friends again. I made the assumption that she had been completely overtaken by the person she is now, which to me, she isn't Aurora anymore. The person that I've seen in her videos is not Aurora. It's Mania, Lady Mania. She's completely allowed her persona to take over her as a person. And it hurts. It hurts me to see that, because she was such a talented, fantastic, and amazing person before she ever became Lady Mania. She didn't have to throw on a mask and pretend to be somebody else. She didn't have to do that. But she chose to do it, and she chose to leave behind the people who cared about her to do so. I made very similar choices, especially in the past. Like last year, around this time. It was around this time last year. This is kind of the main reason I'm addressing it now, is because around this time last year, I deleted my server. No longer exists. It never will exist again. For the biggest reason being, and I'm gonna go full circle here. The reasons for that being coming full circle back to what Marcus did. Now, I don't care if he knows. I don't care if he doesn't know what he's done. But basically, through his actions and the actions of another person, her name is Casey, not Winter. Her name is Casey, because that is who she was to me, who I was in a relationship with at the time, showed me that I didn't have anyone truly on my side. He completely turned the tables over on me and ruined one of the biggest projects that I ever tried to work on, which thus led into the round 2 of the Mania fuckery. It very much is probably one of the darkest times in my life. Probably the second darkest time in my life. And just like the last time, I considered a way out. And that way out was not going to be pretty. Way back, over a year ago now, almost a year ago now, I am ashamed to say that I nearly took my life last year. And I still hold the thing I was going to end it with in my hands right now. I still have it. And it's this. This was it. For those of you who don't know or can't see properly, that is a 357 Magnum round. Yeah, you can see it on there. If I could ever get it in focus, which I'm never going to be able to. It says 357 mag on the bottom. This was the round I was going to... Whoops. This was the round I was going to put through my skull last year. Not because of Marcus. Not because of Casey. But because of Mania. And that's something nobody else knows. But now you do. Now you know that. I didn't talk about it because I had my eyes opened by probably one of the people that cares about me most in this life, my best friend. And he gave me more reasons than I can count why I was an idiot for deciding to do so. And I've had a lot of people ask, why do you keep it? Why keep it? Because this doesn't mean a way out anymore to me. This isn't my way out anymore. This is a symbol. And it means very, very, very simply, I survived. I lived. I survived. This is not an easy topic, because look. This is not an easy topic. And now that you guys know who caused most of my grief and caused me to want to end it so prematurely, you're probably asking yourselves, why in the world, Matt, did you dedicate an entire video celebrating your 5-year anniversary to someone as horrible as that? And I'm going to tell you. It's because I still care. It's because I still care. I still care about her. I think deep down, she's still the same person I became friends with over 4 years ago. It was so much simpler back then because we weren't concerned about what we were planning to do, what we wanted to do. We were simply focused on having fun. And for a long time, that's what we did. We had fun. I remember when... See, I didn't even have any idea that she was working on Mr. Kills. Like, she had blown up while I had known her. And she didn't even tell me until after it already happened. it was the first time that I ever watched her series. And at the time, like looking back on it now, it's cringe as shit, but it's the good kind of cringe. Because it was what first really tipped me off to how amazing she was. And I mean that. She was amazing. And I wanted to help her because I was her friend. Not because I wanted the fame, not because I wanted to be a character, but because I wanted to help. I was her friend, and that was what I was supposed to do. I was supposed to help. She didn't have any idea what she wanted to do for a season 2. She didn't have any idea what she was going to do with voice actors. She'd never done any of it before. None of it. It was completely new to her. And out of it, we not only deepened our friendship, but we became close. We told each other a lot of things that we wouldn't have told anybody else. There are things that she's told me that I still refuse to tell anyone else because I promised I wouldn't. I still care. Which is why I spent 27 hours not only being sick while doing it, but also having a blast while doing it. I spent 27 hours in total working on my last video and dedicating it to her, because for every moment I was sitting there, I was reminiscing. Not just about the stuff I've done on my channel, but the stuff that we used to do together as friends. And we were happy back then. Now, I probably should have said this at the start, but I'm going to say it now because I'm an asshole. The purpose of this video isn't so Mania will see it. The purpose of this video is to accept that she may never see it. Just like my last video, I can almost guarantee you without a shadow of doubt in my mind that of the 32 views on that video, she was not one of them. But I don't care. I don't care if she ever sees it or not. The point of this video is to get it all out, which I have. I've told you everything now. There's the minutia of the stuff that I did that I won't go into. There's the small details of the people I've talked to, the people I got in connection with that I ultimately talked down because it would have ruined her forever, because I still care. And as much as I was upset with her and angry at her, I still care. I still care enough to stay my hand. As I said in that video, as I put in that video, I hold no malice. There's no strings attached. There's nothing. I'm not angry with her anymore. And the main thing that I want to do, God, if I could do it, if I could fly out there and hitch a ride to her hometown and knock on her front door and apologize to her in person, I would. Even if it meant getting a face full of shotgun in retaliation from her crazy uncle, I would do it. If I had the means, I would do it. I don't know. Mm, mm, no tears. I said I promised myself no tears. I I I wish I could. I really do. I really wish I could apologize face to face. Make something new. Try again. I would love to try again. But I personally I have to come to the fact that she never wants to be friends with me again. Personally, I have to. I have to come to terms to that. Otherwise, it's going to drive me nuts for the rest of my life. And I hope things improve for her. And her family. So, anyway, I'm gonna stop now before I start bawling my eyes out. I'm gonna do that off camera. You don't need that on camera. You don't need to see that on camera. So, thank you all so much for hearing me out. And hopefully I'll be back soon. Bye.